Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor as due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. New in the gospel, broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. Going into where you be able to see the Northern Lights in KC again. What to know about Wednesday. Actually, I didn't even know of this phenomenon until the brother sent the text yesterday through the group chat regarding the Northern Lights. And I'm like, what the fuck? But allegedly, it was here. It was seen, and they stated that the sighting was from Missouri all the way down to South Florida. So that harvests over 10 states at least, depending on which way you look at it. But the Northern Lights, it says the Northern Lights were seen across Kansas City Metro Tuesday night. And it goes into how the shot was captured in Kansas City North near Liberty, near November 11, taken on an iPhone using night settings. But it says Aurora Borealis forecast model said there was a chance only the parts or northern parts of Missouri could see the Northern Lights Tuesday night. But the pink and green sky was actually seen all across Kansas City Metro and even reached as far south as Alabama and Florida, which is pretty much the South. So it went from the Midwest to the South, which, these occurrences are not occasionally rare, but this particular occurrence was actually rare because I've never seen the Northern Lights here in this state, but they do occur. But nonetheless, these are all signs predicated to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai return because he mentioned it. And what are the chances that this was seen all the way down in Florida from Missouri? So that was a phenomenon, man. And allegedly, it's supposed to be resurfacing again tonight because, that just how the Heavenly Father has it. That's the Spirit, But it says here, if you missed it Tuesday, you may have a second chance Wednesday night. But the Northern Lights are predicted to shine again according to the space prediction center with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is the NOAA, says the coronal mass ejection released during yesterday's solar flare could spark strong to severe geomagnetic storm conditions, which could create conditions that make the Northern Lights visible Wednesday. Okay, but it says here, I was reading something that mentioned that it was rare. All right, and this is just basically pictures and stuff that they found. But it says the aurora is not visible during the daylight hours, but the aurora does not need to be directly overhead, but can be observed from as much as 1,000 kilometers away when an aurora is bright and if conditions are right. It says NOAA's graphic shows that a red line marked as the view line ends at the halfway mark through Iowa, which would mean Missouri and Kansas residents would not have a chance of seeing the Northern Lights. But the space.com says auroras can be tricky, and with the geomagnetic activity still strong and the other coronal mass ejection on the way, auroras could reach much farther south than predicted. It says it could potentially be visible across much of the U.S. if the conditions are right and the skies are clear. But Missouri and Kansas residents saw firsthand what happens when the conditions were right, as the Northern Lights were visible far beyond the predicted Missouri-Iowa border. All right, and basically this is what it is. All right, so I went on Facebook and I was reading here. It says the Northern Lights were visible in Missouri skies on Tuesday night due to a rare geomagnetic storm. Okay, so let's look this up real quick. Rare geo. And it is a sight to behold, man. It shows you how beautiful Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is. But these are all fearful sights, man. Okay? So let me do this. Rare. Matter of fact, let's do this. Rare Northern Lights. It says rare Northern Lights includes red and purple / blue colors. It's basically like it's almost like a rainbow. That's not a rainbow, if that makes sense. And also, I saw like a picture of a rainbow basically shining at night, man. Okay, I think it got something to do with water particles that reflect light. Some bullshit that Esau science come up with, if I'm reading it correctly. But That's a rare occurrence. That rarely happens. And it says, called the coronal effect, aurora effect. It says red auroras are rare because they form from oxygen at high altitudes, requiring intense solar activity. It says purple and blue lights are also uncommon, resulting from ionized nitrogen and even lower altitudes or hydrogen/helium interactions. It says the coronal aurora, which looks like a radiant crown of light, is rare because it requires a strong geomagnetic storm to occur directly overhead. All right, so let's look at this here.
With basically what's hitting the Earth. So we have the oxygens and the nitrogens.
Aurora Fest here on Fox Weather at Night. This is a picture that we just had sent in to us via the QR code that you see on your screen. Thanks a lot, Tina Peterson. That's Urbandale, Iowa. Goodness, that is something else, isn't it? Wow. You got the pinks, you've got the reds, you got the purples, you got some greens in there too. Here's another one, Anaconda, Montana. I like it. Cameron Bright. Oh yeah, Cameron Bright is the name. That was from Montana. My bad on that. Trenton, Texas. How about that? Yeah, so you can see on some of these pictures, there's like a slight edit here or there. You know, a lot of people will try some of the long exposures. Sometimes it's not perfectly visible with the naked eye. But I think in this case...
But also remember, they were spraying heavy too. They were spraying the shit out the skies yesterday. And somehow, some way, the skies were clear enough for us to see the northern lights. So, I mean, even though it's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, we don't know if Esau manifests or sprayed some type of... Because we already know the barium oxide and the cadmium and all the other stuff that he sprays in the skies is poison. Okay, weather manipulation, X, Y, and Z. So we don't know if this is a direct result of it and that something big is coming down the pipe. But nonetheless, these are wonders of the Heavenly Father and His Son. All right. So let me get a precept real quick. This is 2 Ezra 9:1, and it says, and he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest the part of the signs past, which I've told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Okay, these are all signs because the Lord told us when these things become to pass, lift up our heads because our redemption draweth nigh. All right, so these ain't light things, even though these things does occur periodically. I mean, it's not like a overly rare phenomenon, but the way it occurred and the transparency of it is kind of wild. But it was abrupt. It was sudden because I didn't even know nothing about it. Brother sent it. He said, oh shit, he sent the picture of it. And apparently it was seen all over Kansas City. And, you know, from where my apartment is, I have a good view of the sky, minus the trees, you know, obstructing the view. But nonetheless, I have a pretty good view. So, you know, I didn't really get a glimpse of it. But tonight, Lord's will, if that is the case, we will see it. But it says, therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars of people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. It says, for like as all that is made in the world hath the beginning and the end is made manifest, or the end is manifest. Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Okay, so this is nothing more but a sign.
You know, it is actually visible with the naked eye in a lot of cases. So if you're just joining us, if you've been a hermit all day or all night and you haven't been outside yet, we got a big aurora event that's going on right now. And remember, the forecasting with this stuff is not always perfect. It really became apparent like an hour or two ago that this was going to be a really big deal, you know, at some point here on Tuesday evening. Here's another nice shot here. Luciana Castro. This is in Richland Center, Wisconsin. And Wisconsin's a place that's got a pretty decent amount of cloud cover around right now. So there are going to be a few spots where the clouds will break up here and there. And you may get lucky. All right, let's bring in the expert, Steph Yardley, space scientist. You're over
Yeah, you saw fucking witches and warlocks. Here they go, bringing them, trying to make sense of science, which scriptures goes into science so falsely called. Esau makes shit up as he go. All right, this bitch don't know what the hell she's talking about, but let's hear what she got to say.
The Earth's own magnetic field and the atmosphere, that we get these beautiful displays.
So one term that I've seen that's been going around a little bit online tonight is a cannibal CME, and let me know. And I want to say thank you to Sam Thomas, who made this little graphic for me. I said, I just need an Earth and a Sun that I can draw on during this interview here tonight, because we don't have like pre-prepared graphics for this stuff. But as I understand it, so let's say, you know, you have one coronal mass ejection that comes out, and then there's another one after that, but the second one is a little faster, and then it basically like joins forces with the first one and becomes a big one. Is that the cannibal CME?
Pretty much, you get a pancake effect, so they all start to pile up behind I can't speak. Sorry, it's like 2 a.m. here, but they all pile up behind each other, and so you get this compound effect. So while the display is good now, we're hoping that when the second and the third arrive, you'll see even more. Well, I don't even know whether it's possible to see some more spectacular displays than we're seeing at the moment.
Well, I thought everybody was saying that like it not an expert with this, but I thought that tomorrow night was going to be like the big night. Is there still a chance that tomorrow night could be an even bigger night than tonight?
Yes, so that's what we're forecasting. But as you said before, these things aren't perfect, so you have to bear with us. But because we're going to have multiple eruptions arrive, and the other ones are going to look more extreme than this one, then it's looking good, let's just say. So disturbances in the earth.
So there we go. So they're planning on being another one tonight. So we'll see. Damn. Oh well, fuck it. I was gonna go back to that article, but oh well, it is what it is. But anyway, let's go here. Luke 21, and I'm gonna start at verses 10. It goes into things to come. Matter of fact, let's start at verses 6. Yeah, let's start at verses 7. It says, "And they asked him, saying, Master, but what shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things should come to pass?" So the disciples are speaking of the end of an age, which goes into the Greek word eon. It says, "And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many should come in my name, saying, I am Yahushua, or the anointed, and the time draweth near, but go not ye therefore after them. But when ye shall hear wars and commotions, be not terrified, for all these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by." It says, "Then he said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes should be in divers places, famines, pestilence, and fearful sights." Okay, is what we're seeing. Okay, not only that, maybe a couple months ago, there appeared to be like some type of rainbow jetting through the night sky, man. Okay, not to mention solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, chariot sightings, crazy looking clouds, man. All types of shit. It says, "In fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven." Okay, so yeah, this is part of the prophecy, man. Go down 25, it says, "And there should be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven should be shaken." Okay, and we're seeing these kingdoms, these elites, these celebrities, they're all getting ready to get their just due. It says, "Then shall there be they should see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up, lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh." All right, so this is just a step closer to us getting salvation out of here, if you believe it or not. Okay, so anyway, let's play a couple more minutes of this, and then we'll end it. Just wanted to report on it real quick.
Magnetic field caused by these eruptions arriving. So the maximum for that is a KP9.
Okay, so you've got the KP index. That's like the intensity of the coronal mass ejection that's coming out, or some derivative of that. And I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, I feel like sometimes we have a high KP number or a high G number, and it doesn't always translate perfectly to like great aurora viewing. Is there something to do with like the angle of attack? Does it have to be at just the right angle? Let's talk about like the angle of attack versus the KP index.
I think it's really difficult. So, for example, earlier tonight, I couldn't see anything, and it could be due to many factors. It could be due to where the auroral oval is sitting. It might be pushed further south. It might just be due to light pollution. There are so many variables in this, and like you were saying earlier, you can sometimes see patches of the aurora in activity, or the whole sky can be green. So it really does change quite dynamically on small timescales and spatial scales, and so that makes it really difficult to predict. And then not everyone's going to have the same experience.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you look at the cloud cover right now, I think this is like the most important thing to look at. And again, I'm going to shout out Shane Brown, our meteorologist behind the scenes, for putting this together. I don't think you're seeing this in too many other places. This real color satellite.
But anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor is due to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.